Hi there. I'm holding the camera in my hand just to give you a better view of the setup that I've got here for machining the tapered dowel that I'm going to use on the milling machine. And I'll try and point out a few things. What I have is I had a straight shank, parallel shank with a thread on the end, quarter 26. I made up a brass bush to a split bush to grip the thread of the dowel, and that's for extracting purposes when it's installed on the milling machine. I turned the outside to 5/16 on the bush, so it's a thin walled bush, and I've got it in the collet, the 5/16 collet, and I've got it supported at this end with the original tailstock. And the reason for that is that I can't use the new tailstock that I made, because I'm using the base, the sliding base for attaching the new tailstock. I'm using it now for a similar fixture that slides onto the moving block, and which, when you look down, you can see a plate bolted underneath this block here, and that plate has a 1° taper on it. That's a template that I machined up for doing this particular operation of turning tapers. Now, if you look at this setup, this is the one problem with the tailstock. In order to support the end of this pin and to be able to machine the taper, I've had to take out the original quill, and I purchased one of these Chinese units with the ER16 and holder with collets, and so I wasn't able to use my revolving center. So what I have to do is to support this end with a dead center, and I've got that attached to another 5/16 collet in this holder here. So you can see the distance. That distance is, as usual, I haven't got anything here. Let's see. That's to support this piece. That's with that original tailstock. It's hanging out. The shaft is hanging out about 4 1/8, which is not really an ideal situation. It gives some support, but it's not really a nice solid support in my estimation. So anyway, getting back to this, this here is a sliding block that I made. It's got a dovetail on it, and a male and a female, which you can see here, I hope. And on the end of it, or on the front of it I should say, there's a bar attached to this part here, this central part here, and there's a roller on the end down there. And when you push this in, the roller locates the edge of the template. Now, this part here is the tool holder, and that slides up and down on this dovetail here, which is also a copy of the modification that I did on the top slide. There's the top slide. Okay, and don't take any notice of this. That's something that I'm going to do away with. This block here is attached. It's attached onto the end, the front end of the top slide, and this holder here, it drops down onto this dovetail here, and I can do machining, I can do tapers and all kinds of stuff with the top slide. Also at the same time, what I did was let's see if I can get that there. What I did also was I made a new base, as you can see in the thickness. Where are we? There. That's the new base, and I've incorporated which I've explained before in other videos, I incorporated the hard inch design for locking the top slide onto the cross slide, and that works beautifully. So anyway, I've got this holder here, which excuse me, which fits on this system, and it also fits on the top slide as well for other kinds of machining. So this has to be set up, and I've already taken a cut on the part here, and got everything set up. This all has to be positioned in the correct place. This is the problem with the tailstock having no nose or extension over the saddle. All this here is it's nice for location on a bed, nice and wide, but it ruins the whole design of this tailstock. Okay, so I have actually set the thing up, and what I do is I have to position the tool bit out to that extension there from the holder, because that's the way it's designed. It's not perfect, like most of my stuff. It's not perfect. It works to a degree, and it's satisfying for me, but I'm sure that other people can come up with better ideas. The point is that it's going to turn a taper for me with 1 degree on it, so that's the main object of this setup. How I put a cut on, I don't touch the cross slide handle at all. That's left stationary, and this block here also stays stationary. This is the only part that moves, and to put a cut on, I have this micrometer thimble at the back here, which moves this sliding block with the template in and out, and I can put a cut on by putting a few thou on, undoing the thimble, say 4 or 5 thou, and pushing that up against the thimble and locking it, and then that allows this to move forward 5 thou, 4 thou, whatever cut I put on. It allows me to take another cut. So that's how the system works. It's just my design. Other people will come up with a much better idea, I'm sure of that. but it works for me, so that's all I'm concerned with. So I'm going to put this camera up on the shelf now so that it's facing down on here, and I'll do a couple of cuts. Everything is close. There's the tool bit comes up close against the collet nut, and so everything has to be set up before you start machining. And so I think I'm ready now to do a couple of cuts, just light cuts, because when I get down to the nitty-gritty, I've got to get this tapered dowel to fit in this test piece, and then I've also got to make sure that it's going to go into the milling machine and it's going to work perfectly. This face here, underneath the brass, is the thread, so that's the end, the outer end of the dowel taper. And what I need is really to just make that taper, that dowel, vanish into the outside hole on the milling machine, so that it's down below the outer surface of the milling machine, and so that when I tighten the nut up that's going to be on the thread, the face of the nut will make contact with the milling surface and will eject this pin, and once it's loosened off it'll just pull out. So I'm gonna have to spend some time getting this fitting nicely in the right position, otherwise it'll be scrap. So I'll show you a couple of cuts now just to give you an idea of how it goes, and then I'll finish it off and show you the final thing at in another video. Okay, I know I'm long-winded, but I have a job describing things so that people understand what I'm trying to do. I'm putting a mirror behind there now because I have to make sure you can see everything. Okay, it looks good. Okay, I don't know what I've got it running at. Let's see. 360 RPM. So I've taken one cut, and so I'm going to take another. I'll take a 3/1000 cut. 1, 2, 3. I just undo that locking screw, push that back. You can hear it. I can hear it just click as it makes contact with the thimble again. Just lock that up, and then push this forward so that the roller is up against the template, and just hold the feed, and I hope it will sound pretty good. I hope you can see that. It's nice material. It's a tool steel. It machines like a drill rod, but it's obviously got different characteristics in the ingredients of the material. As I said before, we used it on progression dies where there were forming to be done. So I guess it's a kind of it's a tool steel for forming. I would imagine. I don't know the true reason for that particular material. So that's that. Now I'll just wind it back. And what I'm going to do is, when I've got it fitting in the mill, in the register around the base and the column. I'm going to heat treat it. So that's another thing that I have to do with it. Okay, so I'll just take another light cut, because now I have to measure the thing. It's a couple of thou. So you can see it kind of works nice. I just press my thumb up against that there to keep the tension on the template and the roller, and there you go. Yeah, there's other ways that it can be done. It's just that I made this system hoping to be able to turn a ball handle all in one piece, but it doesn't work out like that. It's there's more to it than I imagined, and so I have to modify it at some time, and I will eventually get round to something of that nature. So there you go. That's all I can show you at the moment. I'll show you the finished item in the final video. Just give it a light, not like a file. Where are we? Something like this. A nice fine wide file, and I'll just smooth it out a little bit, and it should be a good fit, hopefully. Keeping my fingers crossed. So okay, I'll call off now, and thanks for watching.